Welcome to the podcast, Appetite for Distortion, episode number 344. My name is Brando. How are you, Mr. Eric Dover? Very orange today.
Oh, I'm doing quite well. I'm feeling kind of orange and yellow, rocking that look. And, yellow is Rod Stewart's favorite color. So
I'm
doing it in homage to him. Yeah.
Okay. Where, if you don't mind me asking, where are you located? Unless it's like a secret, bomb shelter or something.
I'm in an underground bunker just inside Los Angeles. And we're stocked up on toilet paper. And no, I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay. Very cool. Well, I appreciate it. I mean, I know you do so many interviews, so I don't know if you remember the last time we spoke, which was when you had volume 1 for the Lickerish. See, this is I told Eric before why I'm missing a tooth and I have a lisp if I leave in my tooth. So this is the fun part of doing a podcast when you have to say Lickerish Quartet. And Eric, I've been practicing. Do I say Slash's Snakepit sells seashells by the seashore? Right. I'm practicing. I'm getting a new tooth later this year, like in August.
You're nailing it. So
thank you. Have you ever had anything like this? Obviously, your mouth and your vocals, or it's your bread and butter. Have you ever had any crazy dental work or bust a lip or anything?
Oh yeah, I've had plenty of dental work. In fact, the last time I went to have oral surgery, I was TikTok, the Be a Man guy, and I waved the anesthetic, and that was a big mistake. I came out of there as white as a ghost.
Oh man, well, I appreciate. I was going to take a break from doing podcasting for a bit, but when I have a chance to speak with Eric Dover again, I mean, especially show my mug, it doesn't matter if I look like a hockey player for a little bit. It's okay. It's okay. So as I mentioned, it's episode 344, but we spoke, I don't know, maybe like the beginning of the pandemic, which just sounds like a lifetime ago. This is crazy. So that was
Right.
Episode 185. And that's when we spoke about Threesome Volume 1. And now we're talking about Threesome Volume 3. So you've had a lot going on. So I guess where to start is this the trilogy? Is this it? Is this like how you went into it? Just you're going to do the 3 EPs? Like what was the mindset when you first started this project, this band?
Well, we were reading a lot of Tolkien and The Hobbit, and decided we wanted. No, I'm kidding. It was always pretty much our intention to. I think in the beginning we were just going to release a record, the full-length record. But as time went on, we decided to do split it up into 3 EPs. Of course, the pandemic hit, so we'd already recorded drums and had a number of instruments tracked for the record, but we had to finish a lot of stuff from our home studios for the last 2 EP installments. So we had to do a lot of the file sharing. So.
So you had a lot of the work done. It wasn't like you did. I mean, obviously, I guess you knew if you called it Volume 1, Volume 2, Volume 3, but you knew it was going to be a trilogy. Did you foresee maybe we can squeeze a 4th one out, or maybe make the first 2 bigger? I mean, I guess what was the thought process other than reading Lord of the Rings? What was your thought process? I'm putting it out in a trilogy.
Well, we only had a dozen songs, so, okay. And we'd written those before we ever set foot in the studio. So, really only enough for a nice hefty full-length LP. So it's split down into 3 EPs, and there you have it. We just released the entire 3 EPs on Sony Japan as an import only. So you can get that with all the EPs on it, and that's out now. So that's the only way you can get all 3 of them at once at this juncture.
That's cool, because right now there's only 2 singles for Volume 3, which is Unfortunately and New Days, which are really cool songs. I mean, I think I made the analogy a lot when we first spoke. They sounded very Beatle-esque, but now I'm hearing a lot more pop punky you know, more of an upbeat feel. You know, I guess when you split this up into three, did you know what four was going to go where and how you group them? Did you know like how you wanted to divide the three with what like the pairings of the songs?
Well, I didn't personally, only because I left that decision to Roger and Tim. I'm like, that's too much for me to think about. But I do think it boiled down to whatever we had completed first was going to be released, essentially, and that's kind of how we approached grouping the songs for the EP. So a
Okay,
lot of the songs that were, you know, that we kind of wrapped up early, those were the ones that went on EP1.
I gotcha. You know, what makes you, because there's still people finding out about the Lickerish Quartet. I'm going to slow down every time. Now I know that's a tongue twister and I'm missing a tooth in order to say it. What makes you work so well with Roger Manning Jr., who's from Beck, he's been in Cheap Trick, Tim Smith, who's been in Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, the Finn brothers worked with Sheryl Crow, and just what makes you guys work together so well?
Well, I think it has to do with our formative years being in Jellyfish together. You know, you just kind of make a strong bond that transcends the test of time, or however you want to put it. We all have a lot of the same musical interests, excuse me, but we also come from different mindsets as well. So I think we all find that rather exciting for each other, because if one gets stuck, somebody can show up out of left field and, you know, give you a wonderful bridge or suggest a lyric or however. So I think that's one of the secrets to why we like to work together so well. Plus, we're just good friends. So I mean, we
Yes.
definitely we'll meet an impasse in our creative process. You know, we might not agree on something, but we always just try to find a way to work through things, and I think that's made for some good music.
Is it hard? Because of course you all came from Jellyfish in addition to your other projects, but is it difficult to make it not sound like Jellyfish? Is it to make it its own unique? That's usually the case, right? When you have members from a very known band create another band and not have it sound the same, but you also don't want to lose your core sound. Is that challenging to make it not a Jellyfish record?
Well, I don't know if we really thought about that so much for this, because this was the first time that we were getting together in a long time to make music, and we did know that we wanted to have a lot of vocals on it, which is a hallmark of the Jellyfish sound. But there's so many different kinds of vocal sounds and vocal group sounds, and we all like experimenting with arrangements like that, whether it's kind of a Beach Boys type of thing, or, you know, the Four Freshmen, or, you know, we do find that kind of sound something we really love. So the music is a bit different than Jellyfish, but I think
Sure.
that the vocals obviously kind of bring it back in.
I mean, and the vocals are why we're here today. I mean, your outstanding vocals that have just attracted so many different, you know, fans from different projects following you all these years, and you know, just practice, you know, rehearsing and researching for this interview, looking at past interviews of yours. And again, thank you for your time, because I know sometimes it's not easy to be interviewed, so that's why I try to make it as conversational as possible. I don't like being interviewed. It's just I know it's part of the game, right? So I don't know if you feel natural giving interviews, but I looked at an old school one of you and Howard Stern, you Slash and Howard Stern, and you were playing Beggars and Hangers On, and you and that just that strong, the red face of Eric Dover when you give it your all, and they were kind of teasing you a bit. Can you talk about that? What was it, 1995 maybe? Um,
Yes, that was 1995, and you know, if you've ever done the Howard Stern show, it's really early in the morning, something like 6 in the morning or something. So I just remember drinking whiskey and coffee and going on. And when I first got in the band with Slash, he was like, I just want you to go as gritty and hard as you can. So the red face came because of that. You just like always just go as hard as you can with it. So that combined with the whiskey, and also part of that red face was the embarrassment of seeing the back wall of Baba Booey's with all the naked photographs of women sticking things in them in different orifices, because that was real, and I was a bit shocked.
Yeah, I'm a bit conservative when it comes to that as well. I'd be like kind of uncomfortable. That's I like that. It's a three-pronged. Speaking of threesomes, I guess it's the embarrassment, I guess, or be shyness. It's the whiskey, and it's Slash telling you to give it your all. So of course, I'm glad you just didn't pop a vessel or anything like that.
Oh
Was
yeah,
there
yeah.
was there a
Well,
fun overall experience? Do you remember it well?
oh, with Slash, yes, it was great fun. We had a grand time, believe me.
Hmm.
Um, it was, I guess, the closest I've ever been to being in the Rolling Stones or something like that, where you're just jet setting around the world, doing promotion, and uh, being treated very well, and staying in really nice hotels, and going to exotic locations. And um, so yeah, it was a dream. It was kind of a short dream. It didn't last that long, but I still recollect it quite fondly. Yeah.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm glad you answered it like that anyway, but I meant specifically the Howard Stern show, not, I mean, Slash the
Oh,
Snake.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, that's a one. I would ask you a more specific question about Slash the Snake Pit, not something so general. If that
No,
makes
no,
sense.
that's fine. No, Howard Stern was great. I mean, that I'd watched him for such a long time, so it was uh, unbelievable to be on the show. And Howard was super cool with us. So
Cool.
I didn't meet Beetlejuice, but
I love that. Well, to tie in what your answer before anyway to what we're, I guess, talking about and feeling like the Rolling Stones for a little bit, and it's very cool to see Slash out now with Miles. Obviously, still doing Guns N' Roses. When was the last time you two do you keep in contact with Slash? Do you say hey every now and then? Do you shoot each other, Instagram DMs? Or he just hasn't? Has it been a while?
well, it's been a while since we've talked. But it's like LA. If you live in LA, you can have best friends that live across town, and you'll never see them
Hmm.
because you just can't be bothered to go to Santa Monica. I don't. But that's for, at least for me. I mean, I have a lot of friends like that as well. Like, but we're just busy people. Every once in a while, you may see him or bump into him and say hi. But
Okay.
yeah, he's a busy guy.
Sure, because it's coming in. Because because people are excited to hear from you and excited to know what you have going on with the Lickerish Quartet. But of course, Slash's Snake Pit is such a a moment in time that it's carrying. That's why we're so excited still to talk about it. So that kind of relates to a question I got from a listener, Gilbert Cano, on Facebook. Like, would you ever be open? I guess I was asking if you and Slash have ever discussed doing a one-off, a live show, any sort of would you be open to it? I guess might be the easier question to ask rather than if you knew it was going to happen. Like, would you be open to it?
Well, I'm pretty open to just about anything, really. Whether it's uh, people I've played with in my past, like Roger and Tim, or Slash, or whoever. Um, but it's never been discussed. And Miles is quite a great singer, songwriter too. So I think he's got it covered.
Sure, but he's not singing all if it's at 5 o'clock somewhere. It's kind of one of those. Uh, it's only you could sing that. I mean, I guess.
Well, every once in a while, I'll play a gig and pull out a Snake Pit song, and they're quite up there in register. They're a lot of energy going on. So I'm pretty sure I could still do it.
Okay, think that's all we wanted to hear. And unlike Howard Stern, I don't like asking the tough questions, so I'll leave it to my listeners. And this is not even necessarily a tough question, but a curious one. This is from Anderson, Mr. Anderson from San Antonio. Have you ever met Axl Rose?
The answer to that one is easy. I never have.
Hmm.
I've met everyone else, and you know, I know Steven Adler pretty well. Met Duff a few times, and but yeah, never Axl. So I don't know. Hey, Axl.
That's a nice soundbite I may use in the future. Hey, just like Dave Grohl. Hey, Axl. Hey, Axl.
Well,
I mean, it's interesting because I just spoke with Tony Harnell, former of TNT, and he's doing his solo thing now, of course. We were talking about, let's just say fill-in singers, for a lack of a better term, or, like how he has TNT, and then he would have singers replace him. And when he was in Skid Row for a cup of coffee, he replaced Sebastian Bach, and he talked about feeling a pressure there. So even though it was a completely different band, it wasn't like you were filling in for Guns N' Roses. Was there a pressure, I guess, for people being like, "Where's Axl?" When you were like Howard Stern? I mean, he was kind of asking Axl questions when it wasn't about Axl. So I don't know if you felt pressure because of the Axl factor when he wasn't even there.
well, I knew I knew going into that situation that I was immediately going to be thrown to the wolves, and I was, young at the time, pretty hungry to get out there. So I kind of put that out of my mind, obviously, because if you think about it, it's going to drive you crazy. And just gave it, went as hard as I could with it. But I also knew that Geffen really wanted another Guns N' Roses record, and we were just kind of in the middle, in that interim period there. So and that was Slash and Axl's business, really. It wasn't mine. So I basically tried to stay out of it.
Yeah. Okay. Because I'm looking at other, because I'm getting a lot of questions for you. This is from I wish people had like normal handles on like their Twitter and Instagram, so I'm not reading like butt squeeze 68. I totally made that up. Lay odds. Can you ask him if those songs from 1995 had already been worked on? Because you said you left Axl, that was their thing, and that's smart. But do you know if any of them were worked on with Axl, or everything was created from scratch?
Well, I know that the music was already recorded by the time I came in to the picture. So once I was hired on, we would take a song a day and complete the lyrics and everything. But as far as if the material had ever been played for Axl, I can't say for sure. I don't know. I don't think Axl liked the Snakepit record, but I don't know if he ever heard any of the material, in a practice room or whatever, Slash playing it for him.
Okay. And this is actually a nice follow-up question from another listener, Mike Dalla Porto, much easier to read. I wonder how many songs or riffs he remembers that didn't make the album, and if they ended up on 8 Life Grand or Velvet Revolver's first record.
Well, we were working pretty fast, and I know that Slash and I would get together at his house and play riffs down and stuff like that. Sit around on acoustic guitars and watch the Cooking Channel and everything. But I don't remember anything turning into what became any subsequent work. Yeah, that's a good question, actually.
It is a good question. I have great listeners. They're my producers. They make me look better than I really am. Last Snakepit question, then back to the album. And this one's for me, and I'm curious because I've also been fortunate to have Rod Jackson on the show. I haven't heard from him in a bit, and he's been wonderful to me. So I'm curious if you've ever met Rod Jackson, if you came across him, and what you thought of also that second Snakepit record.
Oh, I know Rod. I love Rod. He's a wonderful guy.
Mhm.
Back when he first got in the band, we powwowed a lot. I haven't seen him in quite a while either. But yeah, I liked that record. As you know, not only him but Matt Logg and Ryan Roxy, two other great friends of mine, are on that record. So,
Mhm.
and I'm friends with Slash's band now, like Todd Kearns and uh, Brent Fitz, and we're all buddies. So
I love that. I think that's why, at least for me, I always ask about what if on stage, these collaborations, because you're all friends, and there's always people like that. It's almost like wrestling when there's somebody that just comes out and you don't expect. It's like, look who's back. It's Stone Cold's music or whatever. And it's like, Eric, it's just, you never know. It's a surprise, especially since you're all so close. It's like a giant family. And that's what this podcast is really, with the 6 degrees of GNR bacon. All it's so cool that Todd's been on the show. He's an awesome guy. So yeah, everyone you mentioned, and Rod especially, just and you especially, wonderful human beings. So it's just it's awesome. Not just the music is great, but the people.
well, I feel that everybody involved is extremely grateful to be able to do what they do. And here, LA is a huge city, but it's kind of close knit in certain ways. A lot of people know each other, hang out, grab a nosh, a coffee, or whatever. So
A nosh. That's a nice Jewish word, Yiddish word. Have a nosh.
that's
I love,
right.
I love it. Back to the end of the trilogy, completing the masterpiece for Volume 3, Threesome Volume 3. Is there a sense of relief that this is coming out May 20th? Like when it's all said and done, um, that you're not working with your friends right now. How do you feel? Relief or excitement? What's the mood knowing that this has come to its conclusion?
I am very well. It's a cathartic sort of feeling. You do feel a sense. At least I feel kind of a sense of relief that it's finally out. Um, it took about 5 years in total. Partly because of the pandemic, but uh, we've come together and proven that we can do this again. Had a lot of fun doing it. Uh, I think we've made some really cool music together. Uh, I'm a little sad that it's done, um, but we're still kind of collaborating, and we're doing we do sessions for people. We're available for that, or offer experiences. Um, at the present time, there's no plans to keep going with it. We never had any intention of touring behind it.
Hmm.
But never say never. That could all change. If there's one thing I've learned, everything can change at the drop of a hat. So I think we're all proud and relieved more than anything.
Cool. And I was going to ask, you answered one of the questions about touring. I know you were kind of didn't give any details or specifics about like what's next. Your sessions, but do you have a set plan for what's coming next, whether it be for you trio or for yourself, or are you just focusing on Volume 3 right now?
Well, we're promoting Volume 3
Right.
as we speak. We may do a live stream, small performance, for some friends, and film that. Do some things like that coming up. I think we've got another video possibly in the works. We've got 2 videos out for Volume 3 already, for the song "Fortunately" and "New Days," and we're just gonna, we're playing it by ear. Still a little early, but in the meantime, I have plenty of things to do. I'm busy with different projects, and I'm doing my own solo record, Sextus. This will be my 3rd one.
Great.
Hopefully, I can get that out soon. So we're all going to kind of peripherally. I don't even have a tooth missing. Um, Stay in touch and keep some fire burning. I don't know how big, but something.
Okay, very cool. And you mentioned, because this is a good way to wrap things up, because after the interview, I want to play a clip for those who haven't checked out the two new singles right now, Fortunately and New Days. So I want you to pick which one I'm going to attach at the end of the podcast. And what I'm going to do is just have it on the podcast version, because if you're watching this on YouTube, I want you to go to the Lickerish Quartet's YouTube page. I want them to get the click, not me, if you're already watching this on YouTube. But again, so I want you to pick which one should I attach onto the audio version of this interview, Fortunately or New Days.
Well, I guess since New Days is our newest video, try that one.
All right. What can you tell us about it?
Well, that's a song that when we first got together and got in a room and began writing it, was a piece of music that Roger had brought. And we said, hey, man, we dig that kind of psychedelic vibe. And so we kind of went on to complete it. And I wrote some lyrics for it called New Days. I guess it's kind of a inner reflective type of tune. So some of the imagery is very California. I purposely kind of went that way with it, without trying to be a total beach boy or whatever. It just has a lot of that kind of imagery of things that I love about California. But it's also a little bit melancholic as well.
Okay, I like it. All right, so I'm going to play a clip of New Days. If you're listening to this on iHeartRadio or SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, so stick around. You'll get a taste of Eric Dover and the Lickerish Quartet. Threesome Volume 3 comes out May 20th via Stranger Danger Records. I like that. I love that name. And so if you're watching this on YouTube, because Eric's he's here with his, what is on the sweatshirt, your orange sweatshirt? I keep thinking it's Halloween, but it's not.
Oh no, it's a Japanese sort of motif. With the I like that kind of horror show Japanese art.
Yeah, it's a skeleton riding a wave. I love it.
Yeah, surfs up, dude.
I love it. So if you're watching this on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, after this is over, go to the Lickerish Quartet's YouTube page and check out New Days. Fortunately, check out Volume 2, Volume 1. But in the meantime, that's it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. Thank you, Eric, for coming on again. I can't thank you enough for your time, and hope we get to do this again down the road for our own trilogy.
I hope so too. And it's always good to talk to you, Brandon. And yeah, take care. Get that tooth looked at.
I'm so lucky now. I'm just making it part of my shtick. It is what it is. I'm lucky, but it chipped. My tooth. I don't want to make it all about me, but I hit my face against the steering wheel, broke my glasses. So these are my backups. By the way, I've yet to mention this when I do these Zoom interviews. I hate the glare on these old glasses that I have. So I need to get new face, basically, Eric. That's what it comes down to. So next time we do this, I'm gonna have a new face, essentially.
Oh, good. Well, your old one ain't bad, so.
So that does it for this episode of Appetite for Distortion. When will you see the next one? I'll tell you a couple guests that are coming up. Billy Howardell, I'm very excited for. I don't know if you've met him, from A Perfect Circle, and he has a new solo album coming out. And Vivian Campbell from Def Leppard, also on the way. So
awesome.
Keep in contact with the podcast on social media in between the broadcasts. So until next time, when will you see these episodes? In the words of Axl Rose concerning Chinese democracy, you'll see it, I don't know if soon is the word.